right. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
We are live, friends, with Soizick Jaffre for A Good Sport, which Soizick will be presenting to us tonight. So thanks for coming out on this hot summer night. My name is Greg Newton. I am the co-founder of the Bureau of General Services Queer Division, which is the bookstore you're in right now. And the Bureau is a project that my partner, Donnie Jokum, and I started back in 2012. And we've been here at the LGBT Community Center since 2014. We're an all-volunteer independent queer bookstore. Claire Brody is our volunteer helping us out tonight. And volunteers are how we do this. We also do this by asking for donations. So I'm going to pass around a bag. If you're able to throw something in here, great. If you'd rather hold on to your money to buy a book, that's even better. So I leave that up to you, but I'll pass it around. There's also a QR code on the bag if you want to donate via Venmo. Those of you online, you can also donate via Venmo at BGSQD. And our regular business hours are Wednesdays through Sundays from 1 to 7 p.m. And then we stay open later when we have events such as this. Things slow down a little bit in July and August. So we have a poetry reading next week and then a little bit of a break. But our regular business hours will still be respected. And we have this glorious exhibition, which is up all summer long, which is Dyke Art House Visits the Bureau. Dyke Art House is a lesbian art venue in Philadelphia, founded by Juno Rosenhaus. And she and the photographer Lola Flash co-curated this show. So it's works by lesbian identified, Dyke identified artists over the age of 40. And it's some 63, 64 works of art. So this is our summer show, which we're really happy with. And there will be some more events related to the exhibition coming up. So if you're not already on our email list and you'd like to be, you can sign up for that at the back of the room or on our website, bgsqd.com. So before I introduce Soizick, I'm going to read a land acknowledgement and a call for a ceasefire. So the Bureau acknowledges that our organization operates on the unceded land of the Munsee Lenape. We encourage you to join the Bureau in signing up to make a monthly donation to the American Indian Community House's Mannahatta Fund. The Mannahatta Fund, according to its website, is an invitation to all settlers and non-native people who wish to acknowledge the legacy of theft and genocide that comprise the history of New York City and the United States. And you can find out more at mannahattafund.org. We also want to recognize that today, July 10th, is the 278th day of Israel's genocidal campaign against the Palestinian people, funded by our tax dollars and enabled by our government's unwavering support. We hope that you will join us in calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire, the release of all hostages held by Hamas, the release of all detainees held by Israel, an end to the siege of Gaza, and an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories in order to stop the collective punishment of Palestinians and to ensure the swift delivery of desperately needed food, water, medicine, fuel, and humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. Our greater hope is for peace, justice, and liberation from oppression for all people everywhere. Soizick Jaffre is an author and comics artist born in Angoulême, France in 1978. She has published fiction, poetry, comics, and autobiographical stories in various independent publications in North America and Europe, such as Alphabet from Stack Deck Press and Drawing Power, Abrams Books. Her typical style combines strong colors and surrealistic details. Please give her a very warm welcome. And now we're going to share screen so our viewers at home can also see this.
Okay, I'm not gonna touch the mic.
Sorry, it's always a little fun playing around with this. Okay. Okay. Yes. Oh, yes, that might make things a
Hello,
little
everyone.
easier. See, yes, you're in the, yes, good. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for having me tonight. I'm very happy to be in New York City. I haven't been here for 2 years. First time I was here in 2015 was my whole life. Was for the Queers and Comics Conference that took place in New York the first time, then took place in San Francisco. And I will tell you more about it later, but it gave me a lot of energy, gave me a lot of faith in my work and my artwork, and also made a lot of friends. So tonight I'm going to present my graphic novel. It's a graphic memoir, actually. It is going to be released by Stack Deck Press, California, in the course of the summer, sometimes in August. So I am French. I was born in Angoulême. It's actually important because Angoulême, you may or you may not know, is the town where a big comic festival takes place every year since the late 70s, early 80s. Kind of the equivalent of the San Diego Comic Con. And it's huge in France and internationally. And so this is where I was born. This is where I grew up. And I think this is why I made comics. I was always into art, drawing. My brothers, my family was into, was pretty good at drawing, but nobody ever actually made art as an adult. But I think I embraced it, and I embraced comics because I was born and raised in Angoulême. My book is about freedom. It is about sports. It is about the gay games. But if you don't care so much about sports, and if you don't really care that much about the gay games, except for the LGBT history part, it's still, I think, a book that will have something for each of you, for you. If, like me, you've had trouble maybe finding yourself and finding a place of your own and a sense of belonging. I think it's everyone's struggle. So a little bit about me. Again, I've been making comics since I was a kid, but I've been making comics as an adult, seriously, I would say since 2010-ish. And I had to learn my craft. And I had to begin to start from scratch because, making comics as a kid, you have a lot of self-confidence. You have no ambition in particular. You're just having fun. And then later on, you want to go back to it because this is your mode of expression. And you feel you need some legitimacy. And this is not true. So it took me a while to realize that I could just go back to playing. It is kind of what the book is about. It's an allegory of what I just described. It is about sports. But again, my story of sports in the book A Good Sport is about me going back to the root of playing a sport, having fun. Let the fun guide you. And here I'm quoting a bowling instructor. So again, I'm in New York City, Statue of Liberty. You see on screen. This is the front page of chapter 1, The Game of Freedom. I have 10 chapters in my book, as you have 10 games in a bowling game, in bowling match game. So why bowling? I will tell you later on. Again, I visited New York in 2015 because I took part in the Queers and Comics conference. I had been making comics for about 5-6 years at the most. It's just doing zines and then making short stories, publishing them in small publications. I was really not going anywhere. I was just, getting started. And going to this conference, I made so many friends. It's the key. We connected, Instagram, Facebook, internet also, I think, made a huge difference. obviously, you know, people tend to give a very negative, you know, rap about the social media platforms, but when you use it for good reasons, for connection and to share content of, you know, authentic, genuine content and not narcissistic or superficial things, it's just wonderful. And for me, it's been a place where I was able to grow and share. I started making comics. I had no connection in the US in terms of, you know, like comic artists. So I have very strong ties with the US. Why? Because I came here as a teenager. I went to high school, but in California. So I have no ties with the city of New York that I visited for the first time in 2015. But I have traveled to the US since the late 90s. So very strong connection, lots of friends. But one day I was at the Angoulême Festival I told you about earlier. And there were some American people at some LGBT booth. It was just starting, it was 2010. And so we had this LGBT booth, right? It was French, international. So we had people from Poland, we had people from Germany, we had, you know, those few Americans who traveled. And I remember there was Tony Breed from Chicago. And I said, Tony, I have tons of friends in the US, but I have no comic artist friends. And, you know, I would like to meet some people when I go back to San Francisco. And on the spot, he put me in touch with people, Tyler Cohen, Justin Hall. Justin Hall, who wrote the introduction to my book. Justin Hall is he's quite a famous comic artist now. And he is the founder along with Jaffre of the Queers in Comics Conference. There were, 4 editions, and now it's over. But it's really a series of conference that, you know, gave birth to many friendships and gave, you know, again, was very productive. So I was able to grow connections. I was able to know a lot of people, and this is how I got to publish in Alphabet. The anthology. This is how I got to, you know, publish more in France. Also, I published an ink brick that doesn't exist anymore. It's a poetry comics publication on the East Coast. Doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. And then you mentioned it, Drawing Power. I got a message from Diane Newman, who passed away maybe 2 years ago, asking me to take part. So again, Instagram, making friends. That made a huge difference. Now the story of this book, I'm trying to turn the page. It's okay, I'll try. I don't want to make a mistake. It wants to be stuck on the Statue of Liberty.
Apparently, there we go. Let's see, there.
Oh, so I noticed something here in the bookstore. You guys have a basketball that looks like a bowling ball. So this is perfect. So this book is threefold. It's an autobiographical memoir about my history with sports as a little girl growing up until now. But of course, it's about the freedom of my body and expressing myself. And then there is a documentary part. It's about the gay games and the history of the gay games and LGBT rights. And the founder of the gay games, you know, Tom Waddle. And then there is a third part, which is, it's me and it's history, and I met athletes from all over the world at the gay games in Paris in 2018. And I met Ugandan athletes and activists. And I will tell you later, this is the reason for the book. This gave me the motivation for the book. Now, back to this. Basketball. It made me laugh when I entered the room because there is this constant joke coming on and on and on and on throughout the book about basketball. The founder, the creator of the sports is Canadian, and he was at this college, Springfield. His name is Naismith. Okay, you don't care. But if you love basketball, I don't know, people over Zoom, maybe you care. Naismith, the guy, James Naismith. So he's in the book, and he's being yelled at by his wife in my book. Anyway, so basketball. It's important because Tom Waddle attended Springfield College. Tom Weddle was an athlete. He was a doctor, physician, and he was a closeted gay man who wanted to be a jock in order to blend in. And also because he found a healthy way to express it, a pride of being who he was. And later on, he was to launch this idea of having gay Olympics. So bowling, why? I love bowling. Who doesn't? Now, did I take it seriously? I have to confess, maybe not. But I take fun very seriously. If that makes you feel better. I know people might get offended. Okay. Also, bowling is Americana. Bowling is iconic, right? Bowling is America. So anyway, the Gay Games is an American event, LGBT event, massive. I have to say, I have to confess, I did not know that much about it, although I studied American LGBT history that, you know, inspired all movements of emancipation throughout the world. Of course, you know that, you should know that. It did. Obviously, you had people, you know, being activists or being visible throughout the world before the Stonewall riots and the movement. But the form it took, this social movement that was born in the US, this gave the model, and this gave the energy, the inspiration for the rest of the world. It is an American legacy. Just so you feel better, American legacy is not just, we'll talk about it later, racist, homophobic, evangelist groups. It's also good, a lot of good things, a lot of, you know, you do things in a way that was quite inspiring, colorful, energetic, mythical, you know, because Stonewall is mythical. So, Gay Games, American, coming to Paris in 2018. Amazing! It's my town, it's my country. So I had to take part. I was like, I don't know anything about the Gay Games. How come I don't know anything about the Gay Games? So I had to study it in order to make the book. But honestly, when I participated in the Gay Games in 2018, I did not know shit. And I just went and I had to pick a sport and I picked bowling. So I've never taken myself seriously. I never considered myself an athlete because I was never really persistent in any sports. I had played many sports, handball, tennis, surfing, swimming, golfing. Anyway, I love sports. I love playing, but I always hated competition. Too much effort, focus on one thing. I can't do it. I'm too versatile. So I thought if you have to pick a sport for the Gay Games, it has to be a sport you've never played. This way, you won't take yourself seriously at all. Because the truth is, I don't take myself seriously, but I feel very self-conscious. So it's very ambiguous feeling. So I looked through the list and I saw light, bowling. I'm like, of course. Is that even a sport? Oh, that was very offensive. I'm sorry. No, just kidding. It's actually really, really hard to perform for hours and days, you know, bowling and strike again and again and again. It's actually very hard. It's physics. And because I realized I still had to manage, I took lessons. So I looked for a bowling instructor. I happened to be in the US that summer. It was 2017, sorry. And this guy kept saying, let the fun guide you. And so I took lessons with him. Phil Reagan, San Francisco, Procedural Ball, that is very happy about this book coming out because there are in the book. And I repeated the steps, the 4 sacred steps of bowling, because everything is how you approach the lane. And as I explain in my book, I love sports coaches and PE teachers. I mean, some of them are assholes, but many of them, awesome. So good. And I played golf later on. I learned golf, and the golf instructor, he used the same analogies and the same philosophical phrases as Phil Reagan, the bowling instructor. It's all the same world. It's not really about sport, it's about attitude, and it's about vision. So like I said, it's a funny book sometimes, a lot of times about me. I was a tomboy, so to speak. I think I was an active girl. End of story. So I was a very active girl, kind of atypical, non-conforming girl. And my love of sports. But like I said, it's a book about history. There is a lot of information in the book. I have a whole chapter about the history of the gay games, and the history of LGBT rights along the years. So it's very dense sometimes, because a lot of people don't realize the gay games it's not a gadget. You know, gay people playing sports together. Oh, what's the point? It's like the gay pride. What's the point? You know, do we have a straight pride? You know, this is not it. And you know what? Okay, maybe we don't need it anymore. Maybe. But it's not just us, it's also the rest of the world. The rest of the world. And again, it's a message to the world. And the world is watching you, and the world is watching us. So the world was watching Paris. And the world was in Paris, because the Gay Games gives grants, scholarships to athletes from all over the world every year. And those athletes I mentioned earlier, who traveled from Uganda, got a grant from the Gay Games. And this is how I got to meet them. I had to do a lot of research. I had my own knowledge about the gay liberation, about the social movement, of the 60s, the 70s. So you will find, if you know the history, you will find a lot of references, sometimes very implicit, very subtle in the pictures, and very explicit references and documentation shared with the reader about the Gay Games themselves. And the figure of the Olympian, Tom Weddle, who died of AIDS in 1986. Therefore, he did not see the legacy and the huge impact of the Gay Games that traveled all around the world. Until recently, in the fall of 2023, the Gay Games were in Mexico and in Hong Kong. He is survived by his daughter, Jessica, today. So the Gay Games were founded in 1982 in San Francisco. Then 2 years later, again in San Francisco, and then in Vancouver, and then around the US, and then Holland in Europe, and then the UK, and then, so it was pretty much North America and Europe, and then Australia, and then, and then who knows? Next time it will take place in Spain, in Valencia. So the Gay Olympics were called Gay Olympics, but the Olympic Committee censored and prohibited the Gay Games from using it. I mean, they got sued. They could not use it. They were in a lot of trouble, so they had to. So you may know the story. They had to erase the word. So it's in my book, but erased, or you have it's crossed. So I wanted to tell. And back then, you had Olympic Games, dog Olympic Games, and there was no problem with that, But Gay Games was not okay. Again, Olympic Games was not okay. So the book gives you all the info you need that I got to learn while making the book. So I played bowling in this mythical bowling of La Chapelle, which is now destroyed. Collector's item. This bowling was destroyed as part of the Paris 2024 Olympics attraction. Yeah, it's really funny. So this bowling hall is very old. Maybe one of the oldest, maybe not, but I mean, it's a major bowling location in France, apparently. It's been destroyed. So I'm happy that it's in my book for eternity. So I went to the gay games, August 2018, right? I had been practicing the 4 sacred steps of bowling. I go to La Chapelle. I'm very nervous because I'm stupid, you know. I don't want to take myself seriously, but then I'm very self-conscious. I'm not good enough. I have an issue with legitimacy, you know. Do I belong? Do I really belong? So I go there. Of course, I meet very nice people, mostly from the UK, from the US. This German guy, and we play bowling together, and we have an awesome time. And in this group of people, you have Biggie, and she is from Uganda, and she's proud, and she tells us about her life. I mean, for her, it's normal, right? So Uganda, you will learn. I'm going to read an extract tonight. I chose the chapter entitled Heroes, Warriors and Heroes, about Uganda and the situation today. I mean, the situation that has been a situation of persecution for the past maybe 5-6 years. Biggie is an activist, and she came with a big group of athletes from Uganda who may have attended the gay games for the first time. I don't know, but that's very possible. You know, in 1982, there was one French guy. 90% of the athletes in 1982 were Americans, and then you had a lot of British people, maybe Dutch, German, and you had this one French guy. I know him now. His name is Fred Bowman. There is a chapter about him. And so he traveled in 1982, then in 1984, there were 10 of them, and then 100, and then this gave birth to the LGBT sports organization in France, in Paris. This, again, is a legacy of the gay games and, you know, the American LGBT movement. There is a lot of, you know, connection and a huge heritage. So Biggie and her friends also enter that legacy. And I have a whole chapter devoted to bowling, the bowling games. We played together for a few days. It was quite exhausting. It was extremely hot and no air conditioning, needless to say, no air conditioning, because it's Paris, you know. And Biggie chose bowling, although she played many sports and she loved rugby, but she chose bowling. She loves bowling. Her dream is to have a bowling alley in Uganda. Anyway, we had this talk. So I'm going to start the reading. So again, this is from Paris 2018. The gay games were under the high patronage of the President of France, and France was proud. You see a picture, a selfie I took on that day, and you can see Biggie and my friends that I met back then. I'm still in touch. I'm still in touch with all of them, by the way. So the gay games are open to all. Open to all. So it means even straight people can take part in the gay games. And during the gay games, the French media did a pretty good job at selling the gay games to the public and explaining what this was about. Because like I said, could be seen as a gadget, could be seen as an event that was just a community event. You know what I mean? Not open onto the world. But they did a pretty good job, and I talked to the presidents of the Paris Gay Games. They did a very good job at explaining that it was open to all. Anybody could participate, and it was above all, it was promoting the values of Olympism. So in this chapter, you will see Ugandan people with masks on. I would like to explain the reason for this is because they have demonstrated in Uganda to protest the laws that basically threaten every person who looks different. You don't have to be gay or queer or whatever. If you look different, people might tell on you, as they would say you're a witch, you know. But so you don't have to be gay, you just need to look different. And you're being, you know, people will tell on you and you will get lynched. Nothing will happen to the people who will, you know, come after you. You will be thrown into a jail. This is the end of you. And you risk the death penalty or life imprisonment. And many people have had their names and faces published in British style tabloids. This is something they inherited from the UK, like really nasty tabloids, you know. And it's not funny. And so when they demonstrate, many of them wear masks. So you see the picture here, and you see someone not wearing a mask, but in this chapter, I have represented them with or without masks on, and often I have represented them wearing sports soccer shirts because they're very proud about their soccer team and rugby team. Also, I have brought with me tonight the flag. I sent a picture to Biggie. I arrived in New York. I went straight to the beach, by the way. Long story. And I sent Biggie a picture of her flag because, you know, she loves Uganda. We should love Uganda. I mean, the government is terrible, but they have a beautiful flag. I love this bird. The bird is in my book in this chapter in particular, but the bird is mean in my chapter. The bird is like, the bird is brainwashed. So, yeah. So warriors and heroes, because for me, you have warriors and heroes from the past. Tom Waddle, of course, Harvey Milk, you know, you name it. We've got a lot of iconic figures. But to me, these people are the heroes of tomorrow. I mean, of the present day. But today, they are just busy fighting. I will start. I was pleased when I met with my Ugandan teammate. Little did I know, this would turn out to be such a moving experience. I knew that legislation in many African countries was terrible, but I had never met LGBT people from Africa before. Colonialists judged African societies to be backward, uncivilized, and I can't read from the top. And Africans had to be saved from their worship of false gods, from the beastie and from their beastie behavior. And homosexuality was condemned by white saviors. Homosexuality is white disease from depraved West. That's brainwashed, mean bird. Stop parroting, because the situation has reversed today. The West is demonized, and the West is responsible for the white disease of queerness. I am who I am, Biggie always said. It's 2018, I'm Ugandan, a proud Catholic. They're very proud to be Catholic because they reject so much the evangelist churches. I mean, we wish they were all Catholic. Conservative, but humanistic enough. I mean, really. The whole religious landscape has changed. A proud Catholic and a lesbian. In Uganda, you know, homosexuality is illegal. Oh no. Colonial era law criminalized sex acts against the order of nature, the punishment is life imprisonment. 8 is too light. That's Piggy looking for the appropriate size weight for a bowling ball. Go up, you're strong. Yes, she is. I really love bowling. Who doesn't? Take 12. My dream is to build a bowling alley back home in Uganda. Usually, when former colonial countries refer to homosexuality on the African continent, it is often to describe Africa as backward. We fail to understand that colonialism created the current form of homophobia. Ironically, now, Africans must be saved from their backward anti-LGBT legislation. Here you can shout, I'm gay. I'm gay. I am so grateful to the gay games. She's my hero. But the bird says, no. Strike. You're brave. I am from Kampala. Kampala is the capital city of Uganda. And my friends and I, we created Farouk back in 2003. Be proud. That's a little nice bird that is in my book. You have many birds in my book. They represent freedom. After the gay games, for my 40th birthday, I shared a donation campaign for the human rights organization that addresses such discrimination in Uganda, Farouk. That's me, I shared that on Facebook. I remember the highest donation that was made by my social media connections was a man I know who is quick to call any activism for social justice woke. You know how it is these days. Woke propaganda. I guess supporting persecuted African queers gave him a much needed sense of moral superiority. You know, when it's LGBT Africans that we need to save from African backwards violence, then it's great. They are super woke. But when it's LGBT stuff here being too loud, then they lose patience, if you're following me. Beautiful landscape of Uganda. It's a beautiful country. Again, all the Ugandan people I met said, we have a beautiful country, we have loving people, but people in Uganda have been taught to hate. Sadly, there is an African narrative these days that the existence of homosexuality on the continent is foreign and is a white phenomenon. Yet, same-sex relationships have existed in Africa and have been culturally acceptable. It is also probably fair to say that the situation in terms of social and sexual norms or the role and status of women might not have been ideal and homogeneous on the vast African continent before colonization. In the end, people in Uganda, people anywhere in the world, own their bad feelings and their tendency to put the blame on a minority, to scapegoat. Whether persecution targets the white disease of homosexuality today or the African-born Asian bloodsuckers that were expelled by President Idi Amin, Uganda's dictator, back in the 70s, Uganda is just a human society with typical human violence. Being African and gay is real, and human rights are for everyone, everywhere. These warriors truly are modern-day heroes. So the mean bird again that you've seen on the flag, you're un-African. This is the word that is being used today. We are so African. You need Christian cleansing. Why? Because we play Quidditch Oh yeah, they love to play Quidditch. It's the sport in Harry Potter. They play Quidditch in Uganda. Just wanted to let everybody know. Seriously, basketball, James. That's James Naismith being yelled at by his wife. It's a joke in the book. You need to read the book to get it. Gay is ugly. The West is depraved. Of course, the West is depraved. Pray. That's the pastor, the American evangelical pastor, agreeing with the Ugandan soldier, arresting and beating up anyone looking queer. The bird holding a rainbow flag. This flag here was created in San Francisco. And the monk, oh really? I am myself a Franciscan. Such disgrace. So I would love to have some bowling special sound effects, but I don't have them. Oh, 12 is good. That's right. Yeah, strike. It was a privilege to meet Ugandan gay activists in Paris, thanks to a generous grant from the Gay Games organization. Our Ugandan friends tells us about her life in her country and how happy she was to be here. Here in Paris, she felt normal for the first time in a long time. On the festive inauguration day, one of her compatriots, Claire, gave an interview to French television. The interview was compelling and powerful. It was a turning point for me. She was the personification of courage and dignity. And from then on, I thought, I have to make a book about the gay games. Because there is something here I did not expect to experience. So this is Claire talking. And if you look her up, you'll find this interview if you type Claire, gay games, Uganda, you'll find her. It's a great interview. She speaks English. Hello, I am an openly lesbian woman from Uganda in East Africa. It is one thing for society to hate you, but it's another for the government, the parliament, to legislate against you. In 2009, homophobia was legalized. And these are the people who are supposed to protect you as a citizen, but they criminalized us. These laws, voted between 2009 and 2014, were amongst the worst in the world. Being gay can send you to jail for life. So you see many pictures online of those marches against the gays, for those laws, in favor of those laws, saying homosexuality is as ugly as the devil. And you could get jail time if you failed to report a homosexual. That is the key to violence. Mothers, teachers go to jail because they protect kids. My mother said if she knew her child was gay, she would hand him or her to the police herself. I had to run away and move often. Uganda is a very hospitable and friendly country, but Ugandans have been taught to hate. These laws have affected society and how people live with each other, because this has become an obsession, and it's really scapegoating. Religion has been instrumental in fueling homophobia, and many Ugandan pastors are responsible. The so-called evangelists from the United States too. So you see the tabloids on the top left. And on the top right, you see a portrait of this man called Kato, who was murdered. They have lost the fight in the USA, those evangelists. So they come to Uganda. They travel all around the world. God loves Uganda. Amen. In Uganda, they can spread their falsehood. It's ground zero. It's the new west of evangelists. Here they can still be relevant, and most Ugandan pastors preach that hate now. I'm your newly found scapegoat. Criminal. They will use that law to detain you if you're gay or appearing to be. What happens to you in jail after you've been exposed or arrested is horrible. They parade you in front of the media. They will beat you up, and you are denied medical attention. If you show signs of being different, people will pick on you. The focus is on youth now. And in school, kids are bullied every day if they are suspected. Pray away. Oh yeah, that's a school program. They want a quote unquote homosexuality-free generation. You guys watch me. That's a very strong B trying to strike. Claire says, teach love again. That's what we aim to do. As activists, we want to change the narrative around homosexuality. The truth is, we are humans. We are Ugandans. We are Africans. Maybe we should be birds. Free as birds. That's the mean bird coming back to consciousness, to life. It was Uganda's first attempt at enforcing persecution with the Kill the Gays legislation. Yeah, that's the name of the bill. Kill the Gays legislation. But there also has been alarming developments in Uganda recently in 2023. In the spring of 2023, the parliament passed the anti-homosexuality law that led to death penalty in some cases. Due to international community's pressure, including Biden's pressure, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni did not sign the bill. Such disgrace. Members of his ruling party, almost all of whom supported the bill, were baffled. The president said he was not opposed to the bill's punishments, but that lawmakers should study the issue of rehabilitation of the persons who have in the past been engaged in homosexuality, but would like to live normal lives again. So now the improvement, because they've been threatened, it's about money. It's about financial threat. Now the improvement is that you have the choice to convert or die, but at least you can. There was no redemption possible. So his ruling party was extremely shocked that he did not sign the bill. He postponed, of course, for money reasons, because of international pressure, but at least it gave a plan of escape for anyone being accused. You can at least say, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, I want to be normal again. It's a chance to survive. So thank you. Again, the book has many references to the American LGBT movement because it's central to the worldwide LGBT movement. This book is very international. You have, of course, many chapters in France, in the US, in Vietnam, in Israel. You have to read the book to understand why. But in all those places, in many places, you have the rainbow flag. You have the American LGBT movement. You have that cultural reference. There is also a big, very French perspective on things, I guess. Meaning there is a vision of these causes and these values of freedom that are universal. Don't make any difference between people and the individual quest for identity and freedom beyond who you are, the color of your skin, and the religion you belong to, the culture you have. So I chose in this final slide a picture that shows Tom Weddle, Fred Bowman, the French guy I told you about. He's got the little French flag on his chest. And these two anonymous people I found in pictures, this Asian woman and this black guy, Soizick. Maybe he will see the picture and recognize himself. He was really there in 1982 and 1984. These are old pictures. And of course, Harvey Milk that said, if a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet destroy every closet door. And I think that applies to the situation in Uganda today. So we want to play the game of freedom. Throughout the book, I say, I don't care about handball. I don't care about windsurfing. I don't care about bowling. All I want to play is the game of freedom. Thank you very much. So should you have any questions?
Do you remember what your first score was when you first played?
Oh no, because I learned, of course, the scoring system of bowling. Totally forgot. I never played that well. On the last day. Okay, yeah, I remember on the first day. I tell in the book in the short chapter of the bowling tournament, I played like shit because I was too tense. I was so tense. And then I had never played bowling for such a long time. And then I started making friends and I started to relax and then I played much better. And on the last day, I remember playing pretty well, but I'm not an outstanding player. I manage, no, I don't care. I play the game of freedom.
Do you remember when you played? Did you play in California in high school ever?
Bowling, oh yeah, I played as a teenager in France. I mean, bowling is popular everywhere in the world. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I played bowling in Vietnam. Yeah, you'll find bowling everywhere, pretty much. So I've always loved it. I love the noise. And when I met Biggie, she said, I love the noise. I'm like, too. You know that noise? And I think it's the only sport that you play and you can drink a beer. Like, what sport allows you to do that? I mean, maybe not in competition. No offense to anyone in the audience online. Okay. But anyway, it's not something you see.
Yeah.
Other questions? Did you know about the gay games in the room? You did a little. What did you know about it?
I actually went this past year to Mexico.
Oh, you were in Mexico?
It
Oh,
was my first time.
oh, wonderful. So what did you play?
I did 4 swimming events and a half
Swimming.
marathon.
Swimming in?
The half marathon.
Oh, half marathon. Wow. Oh, I could do that. I started in the future, because I started running in the meantime. I started running summer half marathon. I should do that. Thank you. Because I was thinking to myself, I want to take part in the gay games in the future again, especially if it takes place in Africa, who knows, in Uganda, in 20 years. Most likely in Morocco, or I don't know. But yeah, running could be the sport. Thank you. Other suggestions or
Do they have curling?
I'm sure they do. But you know what? Maybe I think the list of sports may be different based on the country where they travel. Because it depends on the equipment too.
Do they ever do like a winter one? Because I know you mentioned like.
No, it's always in the summer, and this time it was in the fall. Because there were some problems. I mean, this year, in 2023, they had 2 locations. They wanted to be in Hong Kong, but the situation in Hong Kong with China being what it was, they wanted to make sure something would happen. So they had the Mexican site, then they still organized the Hong Kong Gay Games, but the Hong Kong Gay Games were under Chinese censorship. So they could not say, yeah, the gay games, freedom to all, we're gay, and it's okay to be gay, and you need to feel proud about being who you are. But no, you could not say that. You could only say, it's so wonderful to play sports together. Yeah, that's all they could really say. But it's great it took place still. Whatever the censorship, everybody saw it. People in Hong Kong, people in Asia. I remember meeting these people from Taiwan in Paris in 2018. It was so moving too. They were so proud because they had just had the gay marriage legalized in Taiwan. They were so proud. And it's moving. So people from other places in the world where you would think people are not really improving or progressing. It is. In many places things are changing, and they travel and they come to Paris, and 30 years ago you would have had mostly Europeans and Americans, Canadians, and today you have people traveling from all over the world to these events, LGBT people and allies, coming from all over. And there was the gay games they did take place in Hong Kong. Even though there was some censorship, it's still something that will make a difference in the long run. And Mexico already took place in Mexico in the past. There was an edition of the gay games, can't remember which one. So it's Central America now, North America, Europe, Asia. It's amazing. I mean, Tom Weddle died in 86. He just saw San Francisco, Vancouver. I'm not even sure he was able to see that happen. So had he known, where we are today, what's going on today. So I wish he was more known to the general public, also because he had very strong values. He said, the gay pride parades, many events, it's great, but he said, this is all about positive stuff. It's all about being proud of who you are and owning it. There's no other message, but it's huge. It's the main one. That's the only thing. And it's so noble that anybody can take part in it. It's really something original, I think he created, and that survived, that remained relevant. If you have no other questions, I can just tell you, you need to attend the gay games. And if you're self-conscious, you need to play sports and dance as if, nobody was watching. And if you hate sports, just dance as if nobody was watching. It's just about moving in the public space, having fun in the public space, right? Owning it because you belong. That's the main message of the book. Thank you.
So much, Soizick. And thank you to our online viewers. And Soizick will sign books, so buy them. She signs them, you smile.